Hi, I'm Patrick Tuttle, the real estate guy with Legacy Real Estate Services with your El Paso real estate market update for today. It is Friday, April 9th, 2021, and I'll be right back with your report. All right, so I'm back, and man, I got to tell you that this is one of the most exciting reports that I've given in a long time when it comes to what the sellers can expect, and one of the most depressing ones from the buyer standpoint, because we've got this gap between our supply and our demand, and it is driving our prices up. We're not quite to the point, and I'm not sure we'll ever be to the point that some of the other major markets in Texas are going through, but we are definitely experiencing the pain of a shortage in inventory and low interest rates, and the combination of those and that crossroads there. So with regard to inventory, we have 589 resale properties on the market, and we had 528 contracts written reported pending in the multiple listing service during the month of March. Now, the properties that are on the market, those have an average list price of $277,265. Now, that's a big number there, but when we get to our selling price, you're going to see how much that comes down. The properties that are on the market, average time, about a month and a half. So if you're sitting out there and you're a seller and you don't have a contract yet, well, it's likely that if you're over this number, the market's not responding to you because of the condition of your property, the price of the property, or maybe even the accessibility of it, meaning that your buyers can't get in to see it when they need to get in to see it. So that's a number to look at for contracts being written. We had 600 properties close through the multiple listing service during the month of March. Now, here's a number for you that if you take that and you divide it by 0.07, which is, we roughly run about 7% of total sales in the month of March, that puts us on pace for 8,571 properties this year, 2021. And I got to tell you, that's going to be tough to hit because of the shortage that we have in inventory. Now, if you're a seller thinking about going on the market, this is a great time to do it, because the further we get into this, and if interest rates do start to rise later in the year, the demand may pair off a little bit. But right now, we still have a shortage of properties on the market. Again, 589 of them as of today. Now, for those 600 properties that did sell, they had an average selling price of $210,899. And what did you get for that? Well, you got a home that was about 1,931 square feet, and that puts you at about $107.49 a square foot on your price. Back in the month of February, we saw 498 homes sell. So we had roughly a 20% increase in the number of contracts closing in the month of March, that being the 600 over the 498 that we had here. The price in February was $206,988, so not a big increase, but albeit an increase nonetheless. Annually, the last 12 rolling months, 7,018 homes went through the multiple listing service. Again, resale only. And then we've got private sales out there, which those numbers are increasing. We're probably looking, I'm going to guess, somewhere around 10 at the low end, 15% on the high end on the number of sales. And we just don't have a good way to track those numbers. Annually, the average price, $199,764. So again, when we've got an average price of $210,899 for the month of March, you can see that we had a big increase, roughly a 5% increase year over year over the year average from what we had previously. So the market, it's up and it's up. The volume of sales is up. The dollar volume of sales is up. And when we average, we take that 7,018 divided by 12, gives us an average of about 585 homes per month, which puts us on a supply of 1 month of inventory. So if no other property goes on the market, we will literally run out of houses to sell in about a month. And the challenge with that is that not every house is going to sell. Some sellers are too optimistic, I'll put it that way, as to what their property would sell for. Others, the condition's not there, and others are going to get foreclosed before they ever make it to the market. That's going to be a much lower number right there. Now, on to our new homes report. Even more challenging than our resale homes, and this is because of the supply and the number of homes that are actually completed. So we've got 813 properties in the multiple listing service in various stages of completion. Some of them aren't even started. Others are nearing completion, but those are getting snapped up as quickly as possible. We saw 330 pending contracts go through the multiple listing service during the month of March. And the average list price is at $275,597. Now, there's some big numbers in the new homes as well. We've got the parade of homes coming up very soon, starting off at the 1st of May. If you want information about that, hit me up, and I'll be happy to direct you over to the Association of Builders for that. Average time on market, at least average time in the MLS, 140 days. But remember, many of the builders have an empty lot marketed to try to get a buyer on it. They don't even have a permit yet, and that's in the multiple listing service. So that 140 days doesn't mean you're going to get a discount on the property because it's stale. It's not. It's just not even built yet. Now, moving on. Number of homes that closed in March, 273 went through the multiple listing service, and they had an average selling price of $232,925. We saw a big jump in this just a couple of months ago where we were running below $220,000, and then we saw a huge increase after COVID hit, and that's what we're seeing. What'd you get for that? Well, 1,882 square feet at $122.50 a square foot. And I can remember when I saw $125 a square foot and thinking that was going to be high. We're right on the cusp of that here in El Paso, and that's going to be our average very, very soon. Back in the month of February, we saw 185 properties close through the multiple listing service. So compare that to the 330 that we saw in March. That's a big number for us there, and they sold at an average of $232,461. So we're not seeing a whole lot of movement on the upward price right now. But beware, lumber prices are still going up. OSB, that being oriented strand board, the builders were buying that for about $9 a sheet last March. And then because of the shutdown in production and COVID and everything else, today it's probably going to cost them $45 a sheet. Yes, that's a 500% increase in price for oriented strand board in 1 year. And that's going to be on the low side. Many of the builders are paying $60, which is even higher. What we saw through the year, so April 1st, 2020 to March 31st, 2021, 2,903 properties sold through the multiple listing service, and they had an average selling price of $221,938. So again, another 5% or so increase, and that means that the market is up on the number of sales and up on the dollar volume of sales. And when you take that number of 2,903, divide that by 12 to give you an even number of 242, approximately the number of homes that are selling through the multiple listing service on a regular basis, the monthly basis, and that gives us a 3.36 months of inventory. But again, it's not there because many of these homes are not completed yet they're in the multiple listing service. So your buyers are going to have to be very patient on buying a new home. And they're going to have to be okay with a price increase because it's likely that while the construction is happening, the price of materials is going to continue to climb, and many of the builders are putting in escalation clauses to cover their losses so that they don't go out of business. And they should, because if they say, hey, I can buy it today at $45 a sheet for OSB, but the price increases by 25% to $60, who's going to pay for that? The builder is not going to absorb the cost. They're going to pass it on to the consumer, and the consumer is either going to have to terminate the contract or pay the extra price in order to make that happen. Now, what's all driving this? A couple of things. Number one is jobs. Jobs are on their way back. The number that we have, the most recent completed figures, is for February, and the unemployment was at 6.2% for El Paso County. Now that gives us 93.8% employment, which is a really good number. When I moved here to El Paso 20 plus years ago, we had, I think, 10.5 to 11% unemployment, and today we're at 6.2. So jobs are being created and people are going back to work, and as that happens, they want to invest their money in homes, and they go to the Home Depots and the Lowe's of the world and they spend money, which creates more demand for retail jobs, and then they go to the shops and it creates jobs all over the place. We've still got Amazon being constructed. We've got a lot of good things going on. So jobs is one thing that's creating the demand, and the other thing is the continuation of low interest rates at 3.28% nationwide for a 30-year conventional mortgage. That is really cheap money. I still remember my first contract that I purchased when I purchased the house in 1995. We closed in January of 1996, and I had a 7.25% interest rate. And I was told by my sister that was a title agent, and she said, "Pat, you'll never see a rate that low again." Well, little did she know, and nobody really knew what was going to happen, but 3.28% was the low for the month of March, and it's just outstanding to have rates like that. If you're looking for a bargain, the bargain's on the money. It's not on the property, so don't think you're going to find a bargain on the property with the amount of demand that's out there. Accept the fact that you can buy more home and expect that you're going to have to overbid the sale price in many, many areas in order to make that sale happen. If you've got questions about how I can serve you, please let me know. Call me at 915-588-1850. Shoot me a text on that number as well, or an email, patrick@patricktuttle.com, and I'd be happy to serve you if you are a seller wanting to know how to position your home the best to be able to receive multiple offers. If you're a buyer, how to write your contract so that yours stands out amongst multiple offers, or if you're a builder and how to weather the storm that we've got coming up and you just want to be able to look at some realistic numbers. Oh, by the way, download my full PDF report. That's the zip code report, where we will show you in the major zip codes across El Paso what's going on with a supply and a demand. And if you've got questions on how to read that report, please call me, text me. I'll be happy to sit down with you and see what we can do to assist you in your purchase, your sale, or just general knowledge of the real estate market. For now, thanks for watching. God bless you. Make it a great day. Bye-bye.